Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Realm Walker podcast, where we compare and contrast the many similarities and differences of our favorite fantasy and sci-fi universes. Whether it's a simple walk to Mordor or at high speeds across the galaxy, I am your host, Jake, and I am here with my crew members coming from the Arctic's top of Canada. We have our resident Dunmer, CJ.
Hello, everyone.
And coming in from Western California, we have our Argonian Dragonborn, Ethan.
Hello, everyone. How are we doing? It's been a minute.
It has been a minute, but we are now back, and with the recent release of Oblivion Remastered and the, at the time of recording, soon-to-be released Doom: The Dark Ages, we are going to be talking about demons, hells, devils, and everything in between. And everything that comes from a lot of these corrupt individuals that come from mainly like a lot of afterlife stuff, whether they do resemble hells and other hellish nature. Now, before we get started, I do want to go ahead and drop a little bit of a content warning, because we are going to be talking a lot about fictional hells and hellish places. But if you guys are religious, if that is unpleasant to our viewers, just make sure that we are going to be talking about a little bit of the history when it comes to the Christianity side of things as well, just to kind of get an idea for the inspiration and how it affects the fictional side of things. But with that being said, let's go ahead and start where we normally do, which is the inspiration that usually comes with these types of creatures and these types of worlds. So it all comes down to, starting off, what exactly is hell? In most cases, it is a form of afterlife. Usually it's in like an underground, or it's down in the earth, or underground in some cases. And it's basically a place of ruin, of damnation, of pain and suffering. A lot of fire, a lot of like media will always show it's a lot of fire, it's a lot of brimstone. Yeah, a lot of spikes, especially a lot of spikes. So yeah, it's a lot of that, and residing within those realms is usually things like demons and devils and things that have horns and a lot of evil stuff.
Horrible things.
Yeah, a lot of horrible things.
That's where the Vikings are kind of unique, because their version of hell is winter. Like it's a never-ending winter. Everything is cold. Yeah, Helheim.
Yeah, so a lot of like ancient stories always they always depict it in different ways. Sometimes it's depicted like we go into a traditional Christianity type of way. It's always a lot of fire and brimstone, like you guys were mentioning before, like Vikings and Nordic mythology. They kind of have it where it's winter. If we go to like Greek mythology, Hades and that it's kind of, it's like a realm, like the underworld is like a realm of chaos and confusion. So it's basically
layers, Dante's Inferno style.
Yeah, like basically the very consistent nature of these worlds is that it's confusing, it's warped. It's a lot of confusing nature, but it usually is a lot of malevolent creatures that reside within it. And we're gonna go ahead and talk about a lot of those creatures. So what shall we start with?
Do we want to bust out Doom right away? Do we want to do Elder Scrolls? What do we want?
Well, you know what? It is topical. So do we want to? Yeah, we can start talking about. We can start talking about Doom, a classic.
Yeah.
A classic.
I was gonna say, just because.
Next week.
Yeah.
Just because of the release, I think Doom would be appropriate.
Yeah, so Doom, a very classic case, both in the original games and in the modern games, has a very interesting lore when it comes to the realm of hell and the demons that reside with it. But yeah, Ethan, go for it.
The residential Doom lover, I played all the Doom games. I main Paladin. I have a full Grey Knight army. It's like that scene from Terminator 2 where Sarah Connor asks Terminator why he has detailed files on human anatomy, and she says that, it's to make you better killers. I'm that way with demons. I know so much about them to be better at killing them, because the external demons are easier than the internal ones. Moving on, we have the classic lore of Doom involves heavily to the Doom Slayer and his tie to hell. So, in the original Doom games, Doom Guy and the Doom Slayer are the same thing, but he wasn't there yet. He was just a classic Doom Marine, and he's frequently showcased as this cold, unfeeling, unflinching monster. And he partially is. But people don't know is that, who just played 2016 and onwards, is that the reason Doom Guy, I'm saying Doom Guy on purpose because he's not the Slayer yet, was sent to Mars in the first place was because he disobeyed a direct order from his officer to fire on civilians. He cares too much about humanity. He disobeyed his order and he was sent there, and due to the scientists beginning experimentation, classic stuff like that, they opened a portal to hell as a way for an energy source. That this leads into the Doom 2016 lore is that Dr. Samuel Hayden, the head of the facility, and is found out later in the DLC of Doom Eternal to be like a fucking angel, is actually trying to solve an energy crisis on Earth. Earth is running out of resources and they need a new energy source. So let's not do solar or nuclear power. Let's open a portal into another dimension and siphon off the souls of the damned as an energy source. This is gonna end well, yes?
Yeah, well, you mentioned that, and that's actually a very common case when it comes to a lot of media in general, is that a lot of the times the thing about these hellish realms, and we're gonna get into it when we talk about Warhammer as well, is that it's kind of like a realm of infinite resources in some way. Because in the Doom games, and you even do this a lot within the Doom games, like you mentioned, like, hey, we can get a lot of energy and produce resources from Doom, and like when you're playing as Doom Guy, you're like closing a bunch of hell portals. I mean, when you have machines that are telling you there's too much demonic energy, maybe you should just stop doing whatever it is you're doing.
Mortally challenged.
Yeah, I guess so. But But in 40K as well, the whole idea of the warp, like the warp is dangerous. It has these terrifying chaos gods and demons in it, but it's also the best way to travel, at least for
also a lot
humanity.
of fun if you're an orc.
Yeah, that too. Very fun if you're an orc, but it's the best way to travel. It's how psychers get their power. It's a way that you can charge a battery if you need to, especially a big skeletal one that's sitting on a throne right now. So it's a lot of energy within these realms, and it's one of those things where, and even like in like, because you're gonna talk about Dragon Age as well, CJ, like a lot of there's always like the risk and the reward that comes with going into these realms. And I mean, something else I also want to mention is Minecraft with the Nether. Like the Nether is a pretty horrifying place, but especially with the new Nether update, well, newer Nether update, like there's a lot of great things that you can find there. It's home to some of the best upgrades that you can find, and Nether fortresses have tons of resources, but you have to go into a realm of misery and despair to get it.
And then you have to find your way out.
Exactly.
Pain and just absolutely difficult.
So yeah, and a very select few people are capable of finding their way out. That's why because obviously when we're playing as these characters, especially like these characters that are closing like the Hero Kavach, the Doom Slayer, when we're playing as these characters that are closing the hell portals, these are very extraordinary people, and they're one of the only ones that are capable of doing this.
Correct. The Slayer is, after the events of Doom 2 was seized and was taken to the Hell Knights, servants of the con makers. That is the voice you hear at the opening of Doom 2016 that is telling you to rip and tear until it is done, is actually the head of the Hell Knights. The Slayer was taken in by them, and he quickly rose up as their champion. And after being taken in by the con makers, who were side note, created by Big G God, who's now an AI, don't ask, and was taken in, and he was basically fused with Argent Energy, which is the energy that is pulled from hell. He is essentially a half demon, Devil May Cry style, and it explains how he's able to basically kill demons, because demons in Doom are not demons in the traditional sense that you can think of with classic hell. They're technically aliens. from another dimension, and they dissolve into energy. That's why there's an actual lore reason when you kill a demon, it disintegrates. It just dissolves into energy that the Slayer then absorbs, and then it feeds into his body, and it's how he heals.
Yeah, and that's even plays into the whole fact that you actually do get stuff like ammo, armor, and health from him. So
Correct.
they managed to find a way to make the gameplay lore accurate.
Which is funny as heck. I love that kind of backward stuff sometimes. It's great.
Yeah, it's
But
always
if it works, why not?
it just
Right.
works, right?
It just works.
Todd Howard, even when he's he's in all Bethesda games, it just works.
Yeah.
It just works.
Well, I mean, we can go ahead. Well, much like that, we can go ahead and segue into. We can talk a little bit about Oblivion and how the Daedra work as well, because something that I think is also pretty common when it comes to a lot of these settings, specifically looking at Elder Scrolls and Warhammer, is that sometimes the idea of gods and demons and devils, they definitely blur quite a bit. And that's especially true when it comes to Elder Scrolls, because the Daedric princes, which are, I believe they are within the realm of Oblivion, and they're like formed in the realm of Oblivion, are both revered and feared by the mortals of Nirn. Nirn being the planet of the Elder Scrolls games take place in, and mainly Tamriel, because we don't really know that much about the other continents, unless I don't play ESO anymore, so I can't really say that much about like Akavir or whatever the fuck the other continents are. But like sticking within the realm of Oblivion, which takes place in Cyrodiil, the whole idea is that portals are opening up all over Cyrodiil and all over Tamriel. And there's basically this giant invasion that the main antagonist of Oblivion, Mehrunes Dagon, is opening to he's basically just a chaos god. He just wants to kind of conquer and destroy and like seize this world for himself.
Well, the other thing too is that each and every Daedric prince in not just Oblivion, but each and every Daedric prince has their own realm of Oblivion. So what we see when we free Kavach is Mehrunes Dagon. We see his realm of Oblivion. So each and every realm of Oblivion, each and every realm, you're going to get something different per Daedric prince.
Exactly, and there are many different types of Daedric princes, because you see like someone like Azura. Azura is a prime example of a Daedric prince, or in this case princess, who is actually seen as a more benevolent one, because we also learn in Morrowind that she is the one that reincarnates the Nerevarine, the main protagonist of of Morrowind, who is totally a Argonian. But
I think Dagoth begs to differ.
Yeah, but I mean, well, it's funny you mentioned Dagoth because the thing about the Daedric princes is that they are also referred to as false gods, because while they can be revered and can be seen as gods by, because we even mentioned before in our orc video that you have someone like Malakath, who is a Daedric prince that is commonly worshipped by the orcs. A lot of these creatures, because of how they were formed and because of who they are and what they represent, there are some people that are like, no, these are false gods. These are not real deities that we should be worshiping. In kind of a similar sense to how Warhammer is with the Chaos Gods. It's like, no, don't worship these gods. That's heresy. And even then, like, Oblivion actually has a really great aspect of that, where you can actually find a lot of different shrines that are worshiping different Daedric princes and different gods. And sometimes if it's a more benevolent one, like everyone's favorite Merida, I think her name was, a new hand touches the beacon.
Meridia, no one likes her.
Yeah, no one likes that one. But you know what? Say what you will, you do get a bitchin' sword from her in Skyrim. But you meet like some other worshippers that are like, if you're too much of a good person, they're like, oh, you don't belong here. You don't like you're not here to worship our god, our Daedric prince, and you literally can't offer tribute to them if you have too much fame. Like you actually need infamy to like properly worship them.
And that's one of the things that I appreciated about Oblivion over Skyrim was Skyrim needed maybe a couple prerequisites that you had to do, but Oblivion actually had you. I think it was what's the one that starts with an N? I'm trying. Anyways, the one that Daedric Prince of Decay, I think it was.
Oh, I think I know the one you're talking about.
I want to say Namira, right?
Yeah.
I'm very sure the one Namira, the one from when she's in Oblivion. And she's disgusting in Skyrim too, but in Oblivion, if my memory serves me correctly, you actually have to completely decrease your personality because she will not talk to you unless your personality is at 20 or below. So you have to make yourself effectively in what the game considers, quote unquote ugly to be accepted by her to start a quest. So and it's one of the things I appreciate about Oblivion is that you actually have to go out of your way to change yourself as opposed to just having a couple things like Periite in Skyrim.
Yeah, or just having like the main item or resource to offer tribute. It takes a little bit more effort to really appease these gods, and I mean, both when it comes to both gods and devils, sometimes it's not the best thing to dedicate your life and worship them.
No,
On that,
a
go ahead.
god can provide both great and terrible things in all manners. I mean, I have pulled up right in front of me one of the things I think is the most interesting in Warhammer lore. I adore the 6 circles of the Dark Prince's realm, the realm of Slanesh.
Hmm.
Have you learned about this, CJ?
Not too much in Slanesh, but I know a little bit more about Tzeentch. Thanks to Space Marine 2, and currently reading Renegade's Harrow Master.
It is this. I describe it really well as it is a mixture of Dante's Inferno and Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory.
That's a
There
heck of a perspective change.
that there are 6 circles because 6 is the sacred number of Slanesh. There are 6 circles, all feeding into a different path of excess that then lead directly into the Palace of Slanesh. They go in order of avidity, which is greed, and so much like from Aladdin, where if you were to take any one of the coins or the gems that are piled as high as mountains, you would actually they would weigh you down and it would spread and it would turn you into a beautiful golden statue, Medusa style, but gold instead of stone. Upon the next circle arrives to the circle of gluttony, much more obvious. This one you look upon banquets of the most divine, pun not intended, food. And Jake, this one's for you. Rivers of the most succulent wine. Ones where you can just, you're tired, you need some food, you sit down and you eat, but it's so good you can't help but just keep going until you become more and more bloated and fat and yet not full. You can't stop until
So it's modern day Venice.
Yeah.
Golden Corral.
Golden Corral, that's the one, huh?
Yeah, until you become part of the food itself for the next traveler. Then goes the circle of carnality. This is where we have to have the warning on. This is exactly what you might think it is. This is what everyone associates Slanesh with. It is pleasure in the purest, most carnal form. It's described as Liza maidens walk the verdant fields, their face and form seemingly sprung from the heart's dearest desire. Whatever your fetish is, whatever who you are most physically attracted to, they will take the form of and then pull you in. Very succubus style. That's fitting for what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
well,
Pretty much a
like
classic succubus.
no matter how vanilla or deranged your fetish might be, it's basically there waiting for you.
Correct.
Basically mirroring also the 7 deadly sins pretty much.
Exactly.
The next one, I love this one a lot. This one I think is very specific, but I think a genius way to lean into Slanesh is the circle of paramountcy. It is, instead of taking sexual depravity, it leads more into the excess of pride with your ability of conquering. if you are a melee warrior, a classic, soldier who's going out there and you're out there fighting and you're conquering and you're achieving great honor in battle, you can get that there. However, those that are more leaning in the political side of things can be led with nations, worlds, and countries to rule and guide, and that all flow perfectly and all praise you. Really a genius way of showing like how okay maybe that's not your maybe sexual and ways to play it is too obvious. Let's throw them something a bit more of their speed, which is a very Slanesh thing. Like okay, here, you can have it. There's a little catch involved, but go ahead. And there's two more. But what do you think of the palace, the circle of paramountcy?
Sounds like pride.
Yeah,
Appealing to someone's pride.
Jake, do you have any opinions?
I mean, yeah, it kind of goes into the whole idea of devils, because we're going to be talking about both devils and demons, but it fits into the chaos gods because the gods, because there's usually a ruler that resides within these realms, and it's usually the devils.
Yeah.
The higher devils, the arch devils, are the ones that are usually the ones that are in charge of these realms, and they're a lot more intelligent. They're always going to be a lot more smarter, because demons in particular, and we'll talk about them, they're the fodder. They're the ones that are going to be attacking. They're the ones that are going to be going into the mortal realms, and they're going to be the main army. The thing about like something like the chaos gods or the devils is that they're going to be a lot more either they're going to be seductive at times. They're going to be a lot more. They're going to be trying to persuade people and be like the more silver tongue. Yeah, exactly. Anyone who has played Baldur's Gate 3, you most likely know of the devil, Raphael. He's all about that because he might be a devil, but he's not exactly like showing up and is like, I'm gonna kill you now in a traditional sense. He's like, oh no, I want to make a deal. You can do something for me. I can do many things for you. And that's exactly
These deals are tempting.
they are. That's the thing, is that like it is a tempting deal. A devil's deal is always going to be very tempting because they kind of have this way to really sway you and really make you play this game. It's it kind of it also builds into the whole idea, because this is another classic saying of, you look at like a biblically accurate angel. The whole idea is that the devil and the demons will usually disguise themselves as something beautiful to bring people in and to like attract people into their grasp, whereas the angel will show their true form as something terrifying to ward away evil.
Well, just leaning on to what you're saying with 40K there too. The other thing too about demons, about them being stronger, is you also have minor demons that are used by chaos forces to put them into things like demon engines. And one thing that I know that one of the Alpha Legion members did was he put a demon into kind of like a bionic arm, but it's consistently referred to as a minor demon, a smaller one.
Correct.
As opposed to demons in demon engines, which are much stronger, much more powerful, and especially the one in I believe it was Brutal Cunning.
Yeah, that's an Iron Warrior bread and butter is demon engines. They don't like using demons inside themselves, but they will happily shove them in a machine and just use them as a battery.
There is there's the three cycles. There's the three layers of utilizing demons that Chaos Undivided usually likes to do. There's the Black Legion, summoning demons and fighting alongside with them. There's the word bearers, accepting demons into their bodies and having themselves be used as a conduit for their power. And then there's the Iron Warriors, who summon demons, grab them by the neck, shove them into a machine, and use them as a battery. So, and that
eighth word bear.
Yeah. Today. I mean, hell, it goes back to the whole idea. Not even just the realm of the warp or hells themselves can be used as a battery. Even the demons themselves can be used in this sense.
Energy.
Yeah.
Warp is energy, and demons are energy coalesced. Hence why, much like in Doom, demons, dissolve and disappear, and because that's all they are. Their corporeal form has been broken by las guns.
Yeah, well, I also in Oblivion, you see that quite a bit. Whenever you're going into, especially like your 12th Oblivion gate that you've noticed, because there's a lot in that game. Um, when you're traveling the world and traveling the Oblivion realm, you kind of notice that the technology and is actually quite advanced. You know, you have elevators, you have a lot more, you kind of have a lot more industrial technology. The only other thing that you see that really rivals that in the Elder Scrolls universe are like the Dwemer ruins, uh, and the Dwemer aren't really around to really explain any of that anymore. But the Oblivion realms with the Daedric and the Daedra creatures, but also like they're able to utilize Oblivion energy and like that realm to power up new creatures as well. Because you know you have the corrupted Daedric human type of or mortal type of enemies that will appear. You know, classic style where they have horns sticking out of their heads, and they are basically like another normal soldier that you would see in the mortal realm, just more demonic. They have like the more demonic voices. But then you have like the Atronarchs. You have like electric ones and the fire ones, which hear me out. You have a lot of these elemental. You have these elemental creatures that are also popping up in these realms, and they're utilizing a lot of the energy to become their own beings.
You could even extend that to Spriggans.
Yeah, in a way, that's kind of the similar way where it's like an elemental type of thing. Are Spriggans technically Daedric?
No, I think they're more nature spirit because, especially if you look at the design from Morrowind to Skyrim, you just get the whole vibe of nature, like leaves and trees and bark and all that kind of thing. Everything's green.
Yeah. But I mean, this is especially true because I mean, but something else I also do want to get into is that usually when it comes to what exactly is it? You know, these things are terrifying. These things are like this realm is just absolute chaos and a lot of terrifying shit. But what is it that is giving it power? It's humanity. Not
Yes, unfortunately.
specifically, not always specifically humanity, like mortal kind, basically, because it's always going to be the mortals that are going to be the ones that want more power, that want to make this deal, that want to travel and get more power because we're so damn greedy.
And that
The
doesn't
more
just,
and
yeah, like you said, mortals, it doesn't just extend to humanity because you look at Dragon Age using the Fade for that exact kind of thing.
Yeah, and I mean we talked about before with how mages are, the whole idea of mages of you know, pick any fantasy or sci-fi race reaching into the warp, reaching into the fade or the weave or any type of
hell.
other realm. Yeah, exactly. It's like do you really want to be doing this? You know? Like it yeah, you get more power, but you're but it also comes down to you're fucking it up for everyone else.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Because it's one thing to blow up yourself and kill yourself, but now all of a sudden people have to deal with the fact that you have now ruined this for everyone else. When the
You know
gates
what's
are
funny, that
opening,
it's leading into like ruining things for other people and how that can tie into hell. You know what's really funny is in Marvel Comics, gamma radiation is actually confirmed to be the energy pulled from Satan's realm.
oh really?
It is the stuff used in nuclear weapons, and he's called the one below all because there's the one above all, obviously.
Yeah.
The one below all is actually his realm is composed almost entirely of gamma radiation, and the Hulk is basically an avatar for him.
Yeah, either one way or another, he basically is. But I mean, it's funny you mentioned Marvel uh, because if we're keeping with the topics of like devils, the ones that are usually the ones making deals, we
Mephisto
yeah, let's talk about Mephisto.
and Zarathos.
Let's talk about like the ones that are making deals and the awesome design. Shout out to Flaming Skull Designs. Got to be one of my favorite character designs.
It really is one of your favorites, isn't it?
Listen, Skull like Flaming Skull with chains is a baller ass
You
design.
really want Ferris to come back, but only as that, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean that would be cool. Like listen,
That is your
listen.
one stipulation.
The
He
two
has to come back as a Ghost Rider.
like two of my favorite characters in media is Scorpion from Mortal Kombat and Ghost Rider. and they both just have that cool ass design. So
It's the Broly factor. I get you.
yeah, it's just, they had their aura and hype moments.
You're fucking saying aura. God damn it! I hate it here.
Well, you know. But well, it's Spawn. Spawn's kind of a similar way too. Yeah,
Spawn is better than Ghost Rider. I'll die on the hill, but continue.
debatable. But anyway,
Right.
but I mean, like, you know, these are humans. They start as humans. They start as mortals, and they're promised maybe not power, but they're promised to save someone's life. They're promised all these like sweet promises. Tell me sweet little lies, Todd. That they will be able to save the life of someone they love, or they'll be able to avenge those that killed them or killed their family. And it comes at a very, very unfortunate price because, well, for Spawn, for shit, I can't believe I forgot his name.
Al Simmons.
Al Simmons. Yeah, for Al, he was like, I want to see my wife again. And, well, he did. He saw his wife again.
Objectively.
Who was
Sounds
already...
almost like you're calling, sounds almost like you're calling Darth Sidious a demon.
In a way, he
Have you
can
seen
be.
him in Return of the Jedi?
Yeah, I mean...
He's like a demon.
He
The
can...
horrifying glowing eyes, the hood. He's casting lightning magic.
He's
That's
making...
absolutely a demon.
He's making promises. He's making promises to Anakin to kind of make him go down this dark path.
I'd say
And
Sidious is
then-
closer
and
to,
then
like,
Luke.
the devil.
And then Luke, yeah, and Luke was able to resist it. Luke was able to fight back against it. So yeah, it's definitely like two sides of the same coin. He is demon inspired. He very much is. So
Oh god, yeah, demon or devil inspired. But I mean, like with Mephisto's had his finger in a whole lot of pies throughout history. I mean, he's the reason Spider-Man comics suck as much as they do nowadays. If you didn't know,
he ruins everything, including the writers.
We had Peter. You know what's crazy? We had Peter and MJ married for a time.
What, in like normal canon and not
Yep.
in like Ultimate Spider-Man or anything like that?
Yep.
God damn it!
And then the writers had to get involved, and Aunt May was shot by Bullseye but not killed. And Peter made a deal with Mephisto for it's in the infamous comic One More Day, and he agrees to give up his marriage with MJ, and basically she never remembers him in exchange for Aunt May coming back.
Oh my god.
He's also had a hand in the creation of all the Ghost Riders, not just Johnny Blaze. If you want to see some really great designs, there's a prehistoric Ghost Rider who doesn't ride a horse, obviously not a car. He rides a mammoth.
Yeah, I've seen that one before. That one's pretty baller.
It's a baller design. And then probably his greatest creation of all would have been in the Thanos Wins storyline, where Thanos waits out the heroes until they're old and weak and leads a massive attack on Earth, massacring all of them. And a 70-something-year-old Frank Castle, who is even remarked as, despite being a famous hero, was barely a footnote in the defense of Earth against the Mad Titan, was slaughtered quickly. And he says, as he's lying there dying in a pool of his own blood, he says, I'll do anything to get payback on him. And it hard cuts to him standing thigh deep in blood up against a throne where Mephisto is sitting there with a shit-eating grin saying, anything?
So he's always there when you're truly in a desperate time. The devil will always be willing to give you a deal. I mean, hell,
Frank,
like we can even talk about gods. Look at Kratos.
Oh goodness, yeah.
He was at his lowest, and he was willing to do anything to win the war for Sparta.
My life is yours.
And
took how many games regretting that decision?
Almost the entire franchise, honestly. Like until you get to
He
4.
regretted it in like 2 or 3.
I mean,
I would say he regretted it, and even in the first game, like maybe not as much, but he definitely was not happy with what the deal he made with Ares.
I mean,
It was really funny seeing people saying, "Oh yeah, Kratos is just a depressed dude in God of War 4 and Ragnarok," and I'm like,
dude,
he's even more depressed in 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, that's recovering. That's fucking that's recovering Kratos in 4. All right, he was at his lowest at the end of 1.
God, yeah, I mean, he breaks down in tears after finding out how his skin became oh so pale.
Yeah,
Thinking that these are the dead bodies of my Spartan brothers as a reminder. Nope, that's your family.
Yep. Well, not only that, because the gods, like, they literally won't even let him die. He's like, all right, well, I'm just gonna, he's listening to Dream On while he's falling down a cliff. But,
We're gonna get copyright if I sing that. Shoot.
Well, you can sing all you want. It's all fine with that. But he like the gods are literally just toying with him. They're like, yeah, but we need a new God of War. So he did good enough. Let's just have him sit on that. And he's like, fine.
Came back to bite them.
So yeah, you know what? Kratos did nothing wrong.
Sir.
That's a take and a half.
Hold up.
I don't care. I am mashing X right now.
Look, Mimir was right. The Pantheon absolutely did have it coming. Kratos was not better.
He was worse.
He was so much worse.
This is true.
The Pantheon were not the only casualties of Kratos' revenge.
Exactly.
Everyone who got in the way was.
What did Kratos say at the end of 4? I killed many who were deserving and many more who were not.
Hey. He let Aphrodite live.
Look what that resulted in. Oh, joy. Oh, joy, a sex minigame. Yay.
Dude, shout out to the year of 2013.
Was God of War 3 in 2013?
I think so. It was either 2013 or 2011. I think God of War. Let me just, like, off topic, but God of War 3 still looks pretty damn good.
Especially since they've given it some touch-ups.
2010.
Oh, okay.
All right. Yeah, like, God of War 3 actually still looks really good for the time. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing when it comes to a lot of these deals, but also we can get into demons since we're talking about avatars, where the idea of avatars and the ideas of like these demons or these devils making these kind of servants like Ghost Rider, like Scorpion and Spawn. We can talk about demons, greater demons, and just like the cannon fodder demons as well. That's where we get into a lot of these kind of higher up beings in these wars and in these kind of like armies, basically. So something that
I love individual demons and just studying like how they fight and
well,
of just information and knowledge to learn about.
It's because something that usually, when it comes to, like, if we're using 40k or just Warhammer as an example, a greater demon is usually going to be the best in terms of, like, whichever god they are a greater demon for, they're going to be the top of the top at doing one specific thing. You look at someone like Scarbrand, he is going to be the best at killing, because that's all he wants to do.
Straight.
And he is going to just want to just run into a group and kill as many as he can. The same thing for any bloodletter. They're just going to be even more powerful to grab 2 axes and just charge. And when you look at something like Kairos or a greater demon of Zeech, a Lord of Change, they're going to be the sorcerers. They're going to be the ones that are sitting back from afar and just blasting spells. But then there are
whispering in your ear to make. They're the kind of people that will press one domino, and even if it takes a little bit longer, the entire house comes crashing down. Whereas, like a Bloodthirster or a Scarbrand will just run through the house.
Oh yeah, they're a lot more straightforward. Whereas Nurgle, you got great unclean ones that are just kind of going for that slow choke, and they're gonna very slowly stumble their way into just full of plague and pestilence, and they're all about that.
compared fighting like Nurgle demons or the Death Guard to slowly being strangled under sewage.
Yeah, and it just gets worse and worse the longer
You
you're
can't
in.
breathe. You're trying to fight back, but nothing you do can really hurt the guy who's strangling you. And it's a slow, it's pain. It's slow and painful.
But I do want to give the reins to you, CJ, because like we can go ahead and talk about some Dragon Age demons as well, because there's some, like, I would say slightly lesser, but they're also very good at what they do. You know, you got demons that are obviously just kind of like there to kill, that are there to do magic, but there's also some other things. There's things like desire demons in Dragon Age as well that are a lot more manipulative, and they're able to kind of like fuck with your mind in the same way that a succubus does.
Well, it's like, and that's right, because one thing about Dragon Age is that the kind of interesting thing about the demons in there are that the realm they come from the Fade, isn't like the Fade isn't a just this hellish realm. It's what you dream of. Like it's something pretty much like the Fade is such a big topic within itself. We can't exactly go over the whole minutia of it, but it's basically obviously aside from the dwarves because they have no access to the Fade and magic, because magic and the Fade go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
But the Fade is a dream realm, and one of the things that makes that dangerous is, well, not everybody has control over what happens when it comes to entering the Fade. And that's one thing that lets you become, if you choose the mage, circle and magi, whatever you want to say, route in Dragon Age Origins. You literally have to go through the harrowing, which allows you to have a stay in control of yourself, because if a demon overtakes you in the Fade, it absolutely translates to what's going to happen to you in real life, and then you become an abomination. And obviously, the demons in Dragon Age are loosely based off of the seven deadly sins, because you have, like you said, desire demons, but then you have pride demons, sloth, hunger, envy, and all these other ones. And some of them are not really showcased as often or as big, but as everybody's favorite mission during the Circle of Magi, where you have to go up and kill all the abominations and stuff like that. That's still the worst section in that game by far.
Oh yeah, going through the Fade. Shout out to the skip the Fade mod.
It's so awful. That's just I love and adore that game, but that's just the most awful part of that game from start to finish. But that's besides the point. You turn into an abomination. If demons will overwhelm you, turn into one. Or unless you have something like a desire demon, it's not just a desire demons from an art standpoint. They kind of embody that, big breasts, it incites your lust. It makes you aroused, but then it also plays on that part of you. Like when you go through that one part on the Circle of Magi, and there's a desire demon playing with the minds of a Templar, making the Templar think that that demon is his wife. So it's all about playing with certain parts of you that are more obvious or weak than others, like fear, like despair, like desire, and so on.
Also, I just want to say, I'm throwing the Desire Demon from Origins in the video right now. Enjoy this design, 'cause you're not going to get it in any other game after this.
that era of dark fantasy hasn't been seen in quite a while, unfortunately.
Yeah, very much so. That's why I think that's why everyone's enjoying Oblivion again, because it has that art style. But
shout out to Marathi for no particular reason.
Yeah, of course. Marathi, she's all great. But anyway, but something that is actually interesting about that, you mentioned that Templar. I remember because when you actually talk to the Desire Demon, it's like, hey, let that man go. He's done nothing. She'll tell you he's lost nothing. He has nothing to live for. I'm giving him I'm giving him something in return. He gets to have something to live for. His entire life is worthless without me, because I'm now giving him, I'm like mind fucking his entire desires to make him feel something. So why should I,
girl boss,
like why should I stop doing it when this is the only thing he's living for? And it's like, you're still a fucking demon. So
yeah, exactly. It's especially with that one mission with I believe it's related to the, if my memory serves me correctly, it's related to when you go to get Shale for the DLC,
Oh
where you
yeah.
have to go through that basement, and there is a demon that's another Desire demon that tries to make a deal with you. It says, "Hey, I'll leave you alone. Like I'll let you get the daughter back, but you gotta let me possess her. Like you gotta let me do this. Otherwise, obviously there's ways out of that. You don't want that to happen, but you the thing about some of these older BioWare games is no, they give you the choice. You could let some of these people be, I guess spoilers, but the game's been out since what 2009, but you can let the kid be possessed, and the same thing with Connor.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, hell, like if we go back to Oblivion, you can go through, you can like go into learning Conjuring. You can summon these demons onto your side. You can like pull power from Oblivion and from the Daedric realm. So it is like all possible. That's the thing about this realm is that it is such a powerful resource because it does give you so much needed power, but at the same time, much like humanity and their desire for more, and well, I keep on saying humanity, mortals and their desire for more, wanting to get more power by any means necessary, it also, the thing is that the demons in these realms, they need mortals as well, because in almost every setting, the whole idea, as long as people believe in them, as long as people dream about them, and as long as people fear and respect them, they will always exist. And that's
Well,
why
sorry, but somebody made a really good point, and I don't remember who made it, so credit to them. But they made a really good point that in the realm of Warhammer, that chaos doesn't really. Everybody talks about like who in the end is going to win. Is it the Tyranids? Is it humanity? Is it the Necrons? Who's going to win? And then people, you can float chaos, but chaos doesn't really need to win because they're enjoying the suffering and the terrible things going on in the galaxy. They've already won. They're enjoying the terrible things that are going on in the galaxy right now.
it's rightfully called the Great Game, because they're fighting in the Imperium, they're fighting chaos, the other chaos factions, they are fighting the
They're
other
fighting each
Imperium
other
races. Yeah.
more. They're fighting
The
each other
Eldar.
more often than they are fighting the material realm. At least the demons do. The Space Marine Legions is a whole other thing. The demons breaching into the material realm is just like a byproduct of the Chaos Gods fighting each other. It is.
Yeah.
Chaos Gods were to focus their whole effort, they'd wipe out the galaxy, but then nothing would worship them. You fall into the vampire conundrum from Castlevania, where
And Skyrim.
yeah, where if you eat everything, then there's going to be nothing left to worship you. I mean, there's a great card in Magic the Gathering. I had it. It was it's called Arc Fiend of Depravity. It was like a 7/5 demon, I think it was, with flying. Basically, none of y'all play Magic because none of y'all have good taste. And
I don't care who Wizards of the Coast partners with. I am not getting into Magic.
Send the Pinkertons after you.
Why? I don't fucking play it.
Don't care. It's called the Arc Fiend of Depravity, where as long as it's on the field, every opponent that you're against has to sacrifice all their creatures except for 2 of them. And then a lot of cards have like flavor text on the bottom of them and a quote. And the quote from this one is, "Why would I kill all of you? Who would be left to worship me?"
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, which is why kind of chaos. I mean, if you're a Chaos fan like I am in Warhammer, like you're already winning. There's enough suffering going on in the galaxy that you're kind of eating well if you're one of the Chaos gods.
Do you know what the Word Bearer's reaction was to finding out the Emperor's worship as a god?
What's that?
That they found out thousands of years later, and they're like, "Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
That's hilarious. That's great. Yo, Lorgar, check this shit out."
And he's busy getting his ass kicked by.
Curse of Raven upon the.
He can't even enjoy it because he's getting bullied. He's getting shoved back into his locker, his tower locker.
By the goth kid.
So, sorry, in other words, you're saying Lorgar was right?
I never said he wasn't. I never said that shit.
Yeah.
You're telling me a man who serves as a lighthouse for humanity's FTL travel while creating 20 almost perfect suns and varying perfections, and while seeding the galaxy with the life of humanity isn't a god? The term god is, I mean, we're getting philosophical now, is very loose.
Yeah, well, it kind of comes back because it always kind of comes back to mortals and humanity and mortals in general as well. Because while mortals can be the biggest, the biggest thing that fuels the hells and fuels these realms, it's also in a lot of times it's always the thing that ends up being their biggest folly as well. Because Doomslayer is immortal in a way, and maybe not completely. Like, he's a half
There is
immortal.
an argument to be made that the Slayer is seen as a god, and it might not be far from it.
Regardless, when you're playing the game, you still have your health bar and you have the ability to die.
True.
When you look at like the hero of Kavak, or any of these types of characters, you look at like Diablo, right? The downfall of these underworlds and of these higher demons is usually immortal. It's usually someone who is able to resist and who's able to stand against that temptation and stand against just like this folly and say, no, I'm going to stop you. Through like might, through will, just mental fortitude, they are able. Yeah, it's the indomitable human spirit. Titus is also a great example of that. Like any named Ultramarine. They
I love
they are able to kind of like they are able to stand against it.
Frauds.
Yeah, I agree. But they are able to be the great folly for the hells in that case as well, and that kind of goes into not just like storytelling in general. That kind of goes back to our last episode when we talk about storytelling, is that while there is always a great evil, there's always someone that is standing against it in some way. While they may take a lot of lives and it will always persist, good men and women are always there to stand against it as well.
Unless you're Kratos, in which you just fight with raw anger and hate.
Yeah, and then you just kill everything and start an apocalypse.
Like, Kratos is a villain protagonist, and it's kind of silly how at the end of 3 they try to turn him into a good person. Like, no.
Yeah, no, he's not.
No. Don't give me this halfway shit right here. Oh, he released Hope. Cool. Look at what happened.
Yeah, you're gonna need Hope after the shit that he did.
Oh man, he flooded the world on a pun, kind of, not really intended, but kind of biblical level.
Yeah,
and Noah's not even born yet.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
Let's not remember that he literally had to go to Midgard to flee from what he did.
Oh my god, he unleashed the plagues as well.
Yeah, I mean, dude was on a little bit of a rampage, so
He was speedrunning the Bible and saying, "Y'all are taking too long. Let me do this."
So yeah, it's
Midgard, and then.
But
who do we have that he's killed in Midgard in terms of like canonical deities? It's actually not too many.
Well, compared to Greek, I mean, yeah, I just like the fact that Poseidon probably had the least to do with his suffering, and yet he got probably the biggest ass kicking.
Yeah. That's what happens when you're the first boss in the game.
Yeah.
Hephaestus didn't deserve that.
What's up?
Hephaestus.
Oh, Hephaestus, yeah. Yeah, I do feel bad for Hephaestus, but I mean that's God of War.
Yeah.
But
deal with that.
But that's kind of but like going back to what we were saying before is that it's always that kind of it's going back to the whole idea is that while humanity is the big or like moral kind is the biggest fuel, it is also the biggest downfall as well. It's always that great game that is always constantly going where because in a lot of cases where, especially in these ones where there are portals that are opening up and there is like a great evil that is opening, that is trying to invade the land. Same thing in the Warcraft universe. There's the Burning Legion is very much another is like a completely evil faction because. At least early on in Warcraft, you got like the Horde and then you got the Alliance, and they're constantly fighting each other, which are less of like a good versus evil type of thing, but more of like these two opposing sides. Whenever the Burning Legion shows up, that's always a time where the Alliance and the Horde are like, all right, we gotta stop this shit.
The demons also, like in terms of a storytelling, serve as a great in the best way, uncorruptible, unnegotiable, just force of nature that everyone loves when like heroes and villains have to work together to stop a greater evil. I mean, if you want to talk about like devils and making heroes and villains forced to work together, Unicron.
Yeah, there you go.
Unicron is by definition a technological devil, a machine devil, in the truest sense.
Yeah, and he causes the Autobots and the Decepticons to put aside their differences
and frequently work together, and how he is the embodiment of all hate, evil, death, and destruction. What's they say about walking like a duck and quacking like a duck?
Yeah, there you go.
Well, yeah, little Transformers mentioned. Woohoo!
You look at that. Well, I'm excited for when we finally talk about them in a future episode. But yeah, well, like you were saying before, there's always the thing about the devils, demons, and a lot of like things that are rising from these realms is that it's actually one of the, I would say, like one of the three of the classic cases of fantasy antagonists, where I think the three classics are always going to be gods, which you can spin that into like hell demons and devils as well, but demons are the other ones, and then the third one I would say are dragons. And sometimes dragons can be spawns of these realms as well, but it's always like those are the three that I can always think of that are the classic antagonists in a lot of fantasy.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, well, if you want to go back to one of our other former episodes, it's you just go the typical archetypes of enemies from fantasy. It's orcs or anything with green skin is pretty much always there too.
Yeah, it's so yeah, they're a very easy one to kind of look at and be like, all right, this is a growing force that is trying to destroy everything. They're like probably the biggest threat to us, and it's also
Hang on.
What's good?
Would you count the Yuzong Vong as Star Wars demons, considering how resistant they are to the Force, and how they come from another galaxy, another realm? Am I stretching? Am I pushing it?
Is this the father, the son, and the daughter that you're talking about?
Okay, he doesn't know. CJ, you know Legends.
I would still classify them as aliens. Like we didn't get like pretty much everything after the Yuuzhan Vong War. That's where Star Wars stopped. Like before Disney bought it, that's kind of where Star Wars stopped altogether.
Okay, I mean like. The Yuzong Vong, Jake, was something from Legends, which was a species from another galaxy that is use entirely biological weaponry and ships. But unlike the Nids, where your brain is going at, they are actually almost immune. I believe immune to force abilities.
Oh, okay.
And they're kind of like the Nids in having what's the term? Is bioweapons? No, yeah, the whole they're like biological weapons.
Their ships are biological. Their weapons are all biological. They're pretty cool. Some think they're a little too overpowered. I think that's totally fine. Maybe that's just the Warhammer pill I've taken. I love me a good overpowered villain from outside the galaxy, and they absolutely bodied the New Republic and the Old Empire and the New Jedi Order. They ripped them a sphincter.
And that's the other thing that, like I said, that's pretty much, and that's where before Disney bought them, that's where Star Wars stopped.
I think we had to get like actual like Force gods, like Magaloth, I think is her name, involved. And no, they kind of trounce on the Father, on the Son, the Daughter, and the Holy Spirit.
All right, well, damn, get fucked.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, Anakin kind of force choked both of them into submission. So.
Fun fact: they were almost canon in the Disney timeline.
Oh, really?
So.
What, the Yuuzhan Vong?
Yeah, in the Clone Wars, you can thank Rebels for this because it got canceled. There was an episode that was going to be made that was going to be involving, I think it was Mace Windu, and I think Plo Koon and a couple other clones, who had captured a Yuzong Vong scout.
Is that where that episode of Plo Koon traveling like the ashy world was going through, or is that something else that I'm thinking of?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't even know if Plo Koon is really involved. I'm pretty damn certain Mace Windu was involved, though. I'd have to ask Gabriel.
Also, this is a reminder to everyone that's watching this right now. If you're going to go ahead and defend Rebels, I want you to know that this show is terrible. I don't care if anyone is backtracking and saying that it's good, like every other Star Wars media. It sucks. It sucks. I hate you. I hate it. It sucks. Okay, anyway.
Anyway, as I was saying, it was supposed to be like an episode of X-Files for the Clone Wars, where they were going to be studying this prisoner who was to them a complete genetic anomaly, somebody who is completely immune to the Force. The Jedi cannot like read their mind, they cannot do anything, so they're basically just going to be studying them.
That was wow. All right, that is fascinating.
I don't know when it was going to come out, but it was a planned episode. There was a ton of planned episodes that never made the cut. There was going to be an episode that was going to be I think it was like a 2-episode arc that was going to be based around like Top Gun.
Oh, that would have been kind of neat. That would have been
with
neat.
The clones.
It's like squadrons.
Yeah. And it was going to continue past actually the Clone Wars into the Imperial era.
Damn, we really did get robbed, didn't we?
Yep.
Absolutely.
I mean, if we want to keep on talking about some non-canon stuff and some more legend stuff, look at Darth Nihilus as a character.
Goodness.
The whole
he pretty much is a demon.
Yeah, the whole idea that he's just
Who's
eternally
the one that's literally too angry to die.
That's Scion.
Yes, that's Scion.
Like the cracked skin, right?
Yeah, Scion's the one.
Scion. Okay.
He's referred to as looking like he sleeps with vibroblades.
Yeah, so that's KOTOR 2 is a pretty insane game just because it has some pretty intense lore. I'm actually going to be making a video on that, pup plug.
Thanks for plugging it. It's your channel. You're right. I'm sorry.
It's my channel. Yeah, fuck off. But Darth Nihilus as a character, I mean, what would you describe someone who eats planets? And all life that is on there.
Back into like demons and something like that. I mean, you know who else wears a pretty cool mask and helmet that eats planets, and he's in a movie coming out soon.
Galactus. Yeah, and he's looking hungry.
I mean, there's that fantastic art I've shown CJ. Have I shown you it, Jake, of Cosmic Horror Galactus?
Yeah, that's horrifying.
I think you have, yeah. I think that sounds familiar.
You gotta put this in the video, because this scratches a very like specific itch for me. Here, I'm gonna put it in the Realm Walkers chat. Like, that is just good old classic Eldritch horror.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen this one around Twitter. It's terrifying.
Yeah, that's such a creative depiction of a classic iconic character, and it just fulfills that specific sense of dread.
What do you do in this situation?
How will this affect the trout population? How will this affect LeBron's legacy?
Okay, but seriously, what the real question is, who would win, Galactus or a million gorillas?
We're going this route, huh?
For the record, okay, my turn to take over. The 100 humans beat the gorilla. Let's make that crystal clear. I'm sorry to all the gorilla stands in there. The Gorillas is a great band. I'm sorry. They're getting their ass beat by the humans. Gorillas do not have stamina. They're short distance fighters and runners. Humans will wail on them and absolutely bring them down. If you don't believe me, look up Tirzu. He made a little video explaining the 100 humans versus 1 gorilla, and apparently he's really upset it's doing really well, because he doesn't like to make videos on like memes and whatnot. But this one's popping off, so keep doing it, and so it upsets him.
Well, with that being said, let's go ahead and pose the next question to the chat that you guys can go ahead and answer. Who would win in a fight, 100 mortals or 1 bloodthirster?
That's funny. Oh, that's funny.
Listen, I'm just saying, two mortals were able to do it. Gotrek and Felix fucking 1v1 or well 1v1. They 2v1'd a bloodthirster and won.
Okay, and
So who knows? I would say it depends on it depends on which world you're doing, but you know, you never know. But
Wait,
with
more Lovecraft Galactus coming into the chat real quick.
Oh God! All right, well we'll put that one in the video as well. But with that being said, let's go ahead and hear from the chat as well. So if you guys have any other depictions of demons and devils, that is fucking creepy. Holy shit!
Yep,
that's some Bloodborne shit. But if you guys have any other demons, devils, or any other things from other different realms that you would like to talk about and like to mention, go ahead and put it down in the chat. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening to the Realm Walkers podcast. If you want to go ahead and see more, be sure to go ahead and subscribe. I'm Jake. I'm the Mad Italian. You can find me at Mad Italian on YouTube, at Italian Courier on Instagram, and Italian Jake on Twitter. Ethan, where can they find you?
I'm at gamer_guy27 on Instagram and SLDE Wilson27 on Twitter.
And CJ, where can they not find you?
I'm not that present on the social medias, but you can find me at Space Wizards United on Instagram.
But with that, thank you guys for joining in, and we'll see you guys next time.